Well, let's go now to Aftab Kamal Pasha, who's a professor of Middle East Studies at Jawaharlal Nehru University. He joins us from New Delhi. Good to have you back with us, Professor. We heard there from our correspondent in Gaza that Israel has in fact continued its attacks on the enclave. This would align with warnings from Israeli officials that it's delaying the implementation of the long-awaited ceasefire because it hasn't received a list of the hostages that are supposed to be released in the initial phase. What's your reaction to this delay, to this truce?
Well, these are initial hiccups towards the implementation of the ceasefire, which has been agreed in principle. I don't know exactly the reasons which have prompted Hamas not to send the list. But sooner than later, they will send the list to Israel. But the big picture is, the hostages have to be brought from different tunnels, I believe. So the coordination, because of the continuous Israeli strikes and ground military operation, perhaps this is delaying coordination between different factions of Hamas or different Palestinian factions. They have not been able to identify who is alive in which tunnel, where exactly, what is their location, so on and so forth. So this logistical problem probably is holding up Hamas from sending the list, because once the list is sent, they have to be brought safe on the ground for handover to the Israeli authorities. So in that way, unless the Israelis completely stop sending their ground forces and stop their airstrikes, this hiccup will continue, because Gaza has been completely devastated, and all the exit points and entry points, most of them at least, have been choked by the Israeli army by repeated attacks and infrastructure destruction. So in that way, probably that is the reason, logistical problem. I'm sure this will be sorted out in the coming days or hours as soon as possible.
Netanyahu is also facing a lot of pressure from within his far-right cabinet. We know that two key far-right ministers have threatened to quit his coalition if Israel doesn't resume its attack on Gaza. To what extent, in your view, are those threats weighing on Netanyahu's mind?
Yeah, they are substantial threats, because for the last 15 months, these two ministers have been propelling Netanyahu aggressively towards destroying whatever is there in Gaza through ground operation, repeated ground operations, daily airstrikes, and also naval bombardment from all three directions. This has devastated. So these two ministers, who form an important group of 15 members in the Knesset, they have been virtually blackmailing the Prime Minister, who himself, of course, is a hardline person as far as Palestinian issue is concerned. Gaza invasion, he himself wanted. But these two ministers have been particularly egging on him, and because of which he had to do all of these things, whatever genocide has happened, and the international criticism which happened, which Israel has been able to brush aside. But the war crime charges by the International Criminal Court and the ICJ's interim decision of plausible genocide, these remain serious issues, stigmatizing the Israeli government in front of the world public opinion. More importantly is the new dynamics in White House. Donald Trump in few hours' time, he will take charge as the new president. And he has put his personal intervention in arranging this ceasefire because of his intervention, because of his envoy which he sent to Israel and to the Qatar talks. This ceasefire was agreed. Otherwise, probably Netanyahu was in no mood to continue the talks on ceasefire. So Donald Trump will not easily take this kind of delaying tactics on either of the party. And Israel, by resuming the airstrike, is only complicating matters if there is lull in the fighting, both the ground and air. Probably Hamas will be able to coordinate with its partners in different parts of the Gaza, which is devastated. So in that way, I think first there should be ceasefire in the fighting. Then only I think we can expect a smooth handover of the hostages and smooth implementation, at least of the first phase, which is seen as temporary for 42 days.
As you say, Professor, the incoming President Donald Trump has been very vocal about getting the two sides to agree to a ceasefire, and by all respects, he doesn't want to inherit this war when he does take office on Monday. So we will see, as you say, how that situation plays out. We'll leave it there for now. Professor, thank you so much again for joining us on the program.